Good morning. I'm on the road again. I'm driving on Interstate 75 here in the Great Lakes Bay region of Michigan, and I just had a quick thought. So, anybody that drives through eastern Michigan is going to be bombarded with billboards for marijuana dispensaries and that sort of thing. But probably the worst one I've ever seen, I've passed two of them just in the last 15 or 20 minutes. That there's literally a marijuana dispensary that's giving out, and I quote, free weed. Okay, free weed. I just thought about this, and in the book of Revelation, it talks about in Revelation, I know in chapter 9 and Revelation 18, it makes a mention of sorcery. In Revelation 9 is where it says the people did not repent of, and it lists a bunch of things. One of them is their sorceries. Revelation 18 says about, I believe it's referring to the Great Babylon, about deceiving the world or something like that with her sorceries. And the word that's used for sorcery is the Greek word pharmakia. We find the same word used actually in Galatians 5:20, and it talks about the works of the flesh. Paul's writing there about the works of the flesh are evident, and he gives a list of them, and that's one of them. Is pharmakia. It's a Greek word, and when you look up the word, it's oftentimes defined as the use of drugs in connection with that's why when they translate the word sorcery, it's a use of drugs in connection with sorcery. And, if you hear the word pharmakia, it probably sounds a lot like the word pharmacy or pharmaceutical. But I thought about it, and again, I don't know if this is a worldwide thing. But I know here in America, like I said, more and more you see states legalizing marijuana. But then here in Michigan, especially, I'm just seeing this push. And they've actually, for several years now, they've had something down in Ann Arbor called, I think they call it Hash Fest, and it's, all built around marijuana. And I guess, that would be my question is basically, is this whole the legalization of marijuana, and the fact that they haven't just merely legalized, the fact that, like I said, they're having billboards and they're trying to advertise very heavily these dispensaries, and even giving out free weed, as I just read, or I just saw on two billboards in the last, here on 75. I wonder if maybe that's laying the groundwork for what we see in the book of Revelation, about, some sort of uptick in sorcery. This more and more people just using drugs, using marijuana. We know that people have used, now, I don't want to say about marijuana per se. People use it to get high, as they say. We know back in the 60s, there was more, people using things like LSD and all that to hallucinate. And certainly, it's even today, people use, when they use certain drugs, there's drugs that it's almost like they're trying to produce some sort of they feel like they're experiencing a spirituality. But of course, it's a false spirituality. It's phony. It's counterfeit. It's not God. It's not of God. It's demonic. And we also know that there will be, in Revelation, it talks about people not repenting of their idolatry. You know, the worship of, I think it talks about the worship of demons. You know, so I'm just, I could be totally wrong, and again, it's easy for me to say this because I'm looking at this from an American standpoint. I'm seeing the legalization of marijuana and the fact that they're giving out free weed, as I saw on those billboards. But at the same time, I don't know if this is a worldwide thing. You know, I don't know if worldwide we're seeing an uptick in drug use or, you know, marijuana and that sort of. And I know, and people, you know, someone might push back and say, well, that's just marijuana. You know, that's not, you know, like LSD or a hallucinogen or PCP or. But the thing of it is, though, is, I mean, my understanding is that marijuana is a gateway often to much worse drugs, you know. And I just, you know, I have to wonder, you know, just if the groundwork is being laid for what we see in the book of Revelation, the fact that there will be many who do not repent of their sorcery, and if maybe what's going to happen is that what we're going to see is an uptick in people using drugs. Well, from Revelation, clearly that's what it is. Clearly there's going to be some sort of uptick, some sort of, it'll be some big thing where people are using drugs in connection with sorcery, as intimated by pharmakia. But of course, we know from Revelation 5:20 that that's actually a work of the flesh, and those practicing it will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. But then, of course, after that section of not Revelation 5, sorry, Galatians 5, sorry, not Revelation 5, Galatians 5:20. But then we know Galatians 5:22, 23 is when it talks about the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness. I almost want to say faithfulness, something in self-control. Sorry, there was a kid's song that I remember, and that's how I'm able to just list them off. But those are the works of the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, in contrast to the works of the flesh. You know, but I don't know. I just wanted to give that thought. I'm just curious if that's where it's heading. You know, if this push in drug use, and I mean, it's not just the legalization of marijuana. We've seen about the opioid crisis, and now, I mean, I don't think people. It doesn't seem like people use opioids. My understanding, it doesn't seem like they're using them to try to hallucinate or to try to connect with the, you know, the spirit world. I'm not, of course, we know it would be a counterfeit spirit. It would be a false spirit. It would be demonic. I think a lot of people, some people get hooked on it because they don't even mean to get into it. It's that they've been prescribed Oxycontin or something, and it leads to heroin. It could be people doing it to deal with depression. I don't know. But, you know, so I mean, we've had the opioid epidemic. I'm not sure if that has anything to do. But I don't know, I just wanted to throw this out. But I was just kind of stirred up when I saw those billboards. I'm like, they're giving out free weed now? They're trying to get people in there, and they're giving it out for free? You know, so it's like, you know, I just can't help but wonder that. So I appreciate you watching this. Just wanted to share my thoughts. Thank you.